The backlash against Michael Jackson is building. It follows the explosive allegations of sexual abuse against the late singer. Now, radio stations have banned his music. He's been dropped in Canada and New Zealand. Statues are coming down, this one in Britain's National Football Museum. There's more at risk. Sony reportedly paid $250 million to distribute his music. There's a Broadway musical planned for 2020, and future earnings, of course, are always irrelevant, up in the air. Forbes says Michael Jackson has made $4 billion so far. It all follows the release of Leaving Neverland, the documentary with horrific allegations of child abuse. The film aired earlier this week in the United States on our sister network, HBO. Part 2 will be shown in the UK tonight. In it, Wade Robson and James Safechuck say Michael Jackson abused them for years.
He told me if they ever found out what we were doing, he and I would go to jail for the rest of our lives.
Secrets will eat you up. You feel so alone.
I want to be able to speak the truth as loud as I had to speak the lie for so long.
Michael Jackson's family has since pushed back against the film. His estate is suing HBO. Chairman Aswad is the senior music editor at Variety. He joins me now from New York. This is an extremely difficult one, morally, ethically, business-wise. Can you love the music but hate the man?
Well, that's the moral dilemma that everyone is faced with now when they put on a Michael Jackson record. You know, some people choose to ignore it. There's a similar thing going on with R. Kelly's music. And that's something people ask themselves a lot. Is it okay to be listening to and enjoying this music if the person is guilty of the things they're accused of?
I think, yes, R. Kelly, of course, is very prescient in this sense. Michael Jackson, arguably, is much bigger. His music is much more, is more mainstream. And of course, as somebody pointed out, he's dead. Do you think, how will people treat, how will radio stations treat Michael Jackson? What do you think, where do you think the consensus is going to come down?
I'm not sure there's going to be one necessarily. There has not been a widespread movement against playing Michael Jackson's music, as far as we can tell. None of the U.S. radio networks are commenting on it. There were 3 radio stations in Canada that banned his music, a couple in New Zealand, I think. This isn't a giant upwelling, right? So in terms of the regular business of Michael Jackson's music, I'm not sure how much is really going to change unless, you know, unless there's an uprising in the next couple of days. What it seems more likely to affect, to me, are projects going forward, like this jukebox musical that they have sort of canceled. It's going straight to Broadway instead of having a run in Chicago later this year, which was originally planned. They canceled it, saying that it was because of an actor's strike in Chicago, but I suspect it was actually because they saw that Leaving Neverland was coming and the environment just wasn't right to launch something like that. Projects like that could be in trouble.
What is interesting is that the Leaving Neverland has reignited issues that have long been in the public domain, and as you know, of course, were litigated in a criminal trial in which he was acquitted. So nobody has been under any illusion that there wasn't something unsavory going on. What is it about this documentary, obviously in the Me Too era, that has created this resurgence? Well,
the Me Too era has caused people to not only look around at current offenders, but to look back at past offenders, because there's, you know, an impulse to say, all right, if this person did it, well, what about that person? Okay, what about Michael Jackson? And through the lens of the R. Kelly documentary, which I assume was being produced at around the same time, so they weren't necessarily, you know, they weren't really in tandem, but the same issues are coming up. And you know, it's a very, the Me Too era has changed the lens on everything.
I guess you don't really know how this is going to play out, literally and figuratively, until Thriller is on the jukebox and you see how people react.
Yeah, that's true. That's personal, though. You know, I mean, for business, like if they have big plans to launch another big musical or another thing like their Cirque du Soleil show, anything else, you know, the way that you keep a catalog alive is to do projects like that, and it's going to be a bit more difficult going forward.
Jim, very good of you to come in, sir. I apologise I'm not in New York to be with you as I normally would. Thank you.
It's
Blame
very
Brexit.
lonely
Thank
here.
you, sir.
Thank you.